Seriousness. Seriousness is a key. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. So I made a video yesterday that I decided not to post just because, I don't know, because I decided not to. I don't need a reason. But I've been in a challenging place. This is not anything new or unusual. Clearly, and I'm saying clearly, I'm owning I like suffering, and my understanding of suffering is maybe a little different from certain teachings, even teachings that I've followed in the past, but it is more in line with certain other teachings, and the really feminine, mystical understanding of reality. And that is what it is. I can't do the detached, separate thing anymore, but what I can do is blend non-dualism and devotion, intimate engagement with reality as I am currently experiencing it. I have to sneeze. Oh, excuse me. Just the one? Just the one. Okay. And this is something that I have repeatedly been drawn to. It's kind of more in line with what Ram Dass teaches. The whole keep your heart open in hell thing. That's, to have one foot in both worlds, essentially, to be straddling the border between formless being and form being, and the awareness of oneness and the wellness of all, and the acceptance of the reality of this experience of individuation and suffering. Like, that suffering is happening here. To not make it something unreal, but to see that it is not necessarily what we think it is, that it's not a problem, it's not a bad thing, it's not a thing to escape. Of course, this gets complicated and confused with the many ways in which the word suffering is used. I'm guilty of that as much as anyone. I have used it to mean resistance. I have used it to mean kind of just uncomfortable feelings. And I have used it to mean the actual experiencing of sensation. And so it gets kind of muddled, and I am hoping that I can be clear in my own understanding and my own articulation of it. I don't know, I'm not trying to say anything in particular. I got really excited a few minutes ago because something kind of unlocked. There's a lot that I have come to understand and then forget, and it happens over and over again. I believe that is normal. It's a part of this progression that the wave is like getting higher, like I reach this peak of understanding and then I drop into a trough of disconnection and feeling confused and like, what? I was like there. I felt like everything was working internally towards the perceiving of joy, even in a way that is accepting of grief. And so I've been there a lot, and I've not been there a lot. And it seems like the intensity and the frequency and all of it is increasing. Whereas before I would reach like a kind of a gentle high and then I would sort of melt into a gentle low. Now it's like high, and then maybe the next day, maybe even another part of that day is low, and then I'm back up in the high, and it's quite radical. And begun to embrace that the void space is an important space, that what I perceive as void is the spaciousness of myself, and what I have perceived as darkness is actually just the absence of projection. But interestingly, in this dark, spacious space, in this place in me, that is where negative thought tends to arise, and it arises powerfully. And so in this quiet heart of being, while there is peace there, it is also the cave in which the shadows appear most prominently. It is the place where the darkness becomes really evident, because there is no other light there. This is all my own experience of it. I'm not trying to say this is how it is. This is my experience of encountering being void space in myself, and the meeting of the shadow. I don't know, whatever you want to call it. Again, there's all these words, and I know that they have a history, but I'm using them not to talk about concepts, but just to describe what I have felt, genuinely what I have experienced. There is no opposition in this space, and so the negativity can stream through. It's allowed to exist, unfiltered, unchallenged. And there is no penetration of external light there. So it is entirely, what I again have come to realize, it is entirely up to me being the light of awareness, the light of witness, aware of myself as awareness, aware of myself as witness, to step into this place and literally be the light, to be the light that is shining consciousness, observation, awareness, experiencing, feeling, shining this upon the darkest of dark experiences that arise there, and that are allowed to arise there because this place is kind of hidden away. But it is not an evil place. It's not a malicious, malevolent place. It's just a quiet place. I don't know where I'm going with this. This isn't what I intended to start talking about, but it's what's happening. So we're rolling with it. I've spent a lot of time here. It's terrifying to the mind, and every time that I kind of depart from it, it's scary to return. I try not to part with it, is what ends up happening. I don't know that that's necessarily the best course of action either. I mean, the facing of the fear and diving back into it again and again, I'm sure, is a good practice to walk through that fear repeatedly. And not be afraid of feeling fear just to get back here. Because once I'm in here, the fear melts. The fear disappears. On the other side of it, it's like, of course course it was nothing. This is where the seriousness aspect comes in, but I'm still not quite to that, because I want to talk about how I have felt pretty rough the past several days, maybe almost a week, not quite at this point. So back to the kind of up and down thing, I had what I would call a sustained period of up, longer than it's been for some time, that lasted almost 3 weeks, and launched straight into that from a place of pretty heavy despair and sadness, and none of which are bad things, but just was recognizing at the tail of that period that I was blocking joy to a great extent. And this was before the last video was filmed. I was blocking myself from experiencing joy, and I was making certain statements. I was believing certain thoughts, believing certain statements happening inside my head, having to do with the not just pointlessness of life, but equating that to having no value. So a pretty standard old egoic mode of thinking, that something that doesn't have an apparent point insofar as it's like reaching a result, it's accomplishing something, therefore has no value. And I recognized that making this statement about life was making that statement about myself, and that the belief of this statement is what really hurt. And I was not allowing myself to believe that joy was worthwhile, to believe that fun was worthwhile, that existing to have fun, that for the point of life to be the pursuit of joy, the experiencing the creation of joy. I was not allowing myself to believe that was a valuable endeavor. And so I just made a choice in that moment to allow myself to believe something else, to see that the point of life is fun, and that is the most valuable thing, that is the most enjoyable thing. What could be more valuable than joy? And so the same is true of my being. And then that launched this, it just freed things up and launched me into this other place where I felt quite stable, quite remarkably stable. Stable in a way that was truly open and relaxed, I guess just at ease, I would say. Certainly not regulating emotions, regulating thoughts, although I did make a great effort to stay out of thought, to really try to just focus into the body as much as possible and into the physical feeling of any sensation that might come up. Not, again, suppressing thoughts, but really focusing on the feelings that came with them, and just not following the stories anywhere. And I was quite successful at that for about 2.5 weeks. And then I had the thought out of nowhere, I am unhappy. And again, I'd been experiencing all kinds of emotion during this time. There was sadness, there were lots of tears, there was lots of laughter, there was giddiness and anxiety and anger and all kinds of things, and deep sorrow. But I felt safe in feeling it all. I felt an ease and an openness to the experiencing of all of it. And suddenly this thought happened, and I started to tighten up. I wasn't open to feeling unhappiness. Even knowing that the thought wasn't true, like all of the thoughts, that's just a story, but it's a story that's creating a sensation, and that itself is a creative endeavor. It's an artistic endeavor, and so why not give this sensation the space to be what it is? The mind has created this little performance. It's choreographed a dance, and just let it show that to you. Let it have its moment in the spotlight, where it, like a child, is just showing you this thing that it made, and it doesn't mean anything, and it's not serious or meaningful in any big way, but it's meaningful that this is happening. It's meaningful that the mind has created this thing, and it wants to show it to you, and there's a part of you that wants to experience this, and so you just let the experience happen. But I wasn't willing, I wasn't open to experiencing unhappiness. I started to shut down. It was interesting to see the thought come out of nowhere, but even in having enough awareness to see it happen, I was resistant to the experience. I wasn't, again, willing to let that thought show me the emotion that was a part of it. And in my attempt to get away from the thought, it captured me. Because that's what happens. That's what happens. Anytime you try to push or pull something, you've connected yourself to it. You have now thrown a lasso around this thing that you're trying to get away from. And it's tethered to you now. Whatever you try to control is now controlling you. And rather than letting the thought be and letting the emotional experience happen, I wasn't willing to do that. And so the thought gained power in my aversion, in my refusing to allow it the fullness of expression, in just experiencing the sensation. I think now, I see now, I believe now, I could have just let that sensation really happen. I did a little bit, but it was in a restricted kind of manner. It was clear that internally I had put parameters on the length and the intensity of this expression. Like, I'm not gonna, I'll feel a little bit of unhappiness, but not for more than 15 minutes. I'm not going back into the deep despair kind of thing. I wasn't open. I wasn't open to that. And because I wasn't open, I started to close. That's what not open is. If you're not open, you're closing. And so I started to close. And I'm seeing now, I saw this morning, because this continued. This continued over several days because I didn't allow this expression. It did kind of go away, and then it came back. And it came back stronger. And the same thing happened. I kind of resisted it and was like, this is just the pain body, right? Which is not necessarily untrue, but what I was really doing was trying to say, this is unreal. This isn't real. Kind of a la 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 la. You don't affect me. You don't touch me. I was in my derealizing the experience in order to get away from it, because I was unwilling to have it. I was afraid of having this experience. I derealized myself. You can't cut any part of reality off without cutting yourself off. You are pinching yourself off from the fullness of your being. That's just the way it is. So this continued and it got harder. It got more painful. It got, I want to say, worse. Of course, there's some judgment bound up in that word, but it got way more uncomfortable. This kind of suffering, this suffering of resistance to the suffering of the experience, whatever, it grew. I wasn't willing to feel it, and it grew and it grew and it grew, and I felt more and more miserable. The really intense suicidal ideation came back. I'm hoping saying those words is not going to get this video like shoved in a corner just to even say them, because that's the truth. We can just call it SI, I guess, but I've experienced that my entire life, and it's something that I'm really endeavoring to face and integrate. Anyway, it was quite intense. It came back intensely. Just this pessimism too, like this really wickedly negative outlook of like nothing good, nothing pleasing, nothing enjoyable ever happens or even exists, and it's all just, it pushed me into this place of distrust, because that's what I was doing, and I'm seeing this as I'm saying it. I was distrusting this experience. I was saying, without saying, no, this doesn't belong. No, this is wrong. No, this is not part of me. No, this isn't allowed here. I don't trust this. I don't trust this experience. And the second that I stopped trusting, the second that I stopped being open to experiencing what was there, the second that I told some part of existence, some part of feeling and experience that it wasn't allowed, I stopped trusting everything. I stopped allowing everything. I stopped trusting myself. I stopped trusting life. Again, these are the same things. So whichever angle you come at it, it's both. It's everything folded in there. I stopped trusting, and I became bound up in this tight little coil of fear. And it was really sad and really uncomfortable. And I know so many people live in that place, and that is just heartbreaking. Honestly, that is, it's not sustainable. But what helped me this morning, because I was in this place for several days and I was having panic attacks again at night. I was waking up with panic attacks in essentially, they're like whatever, silent panic attacks. I don't have the really visible version, but it's just that my body surges with energy and it kind of feels like I'm gonna die. Anyway, that was happening, just waking up in the middle of the night, and then I couldn't get back to sleep, and this morning I finally said, okay, part of me is enjoying this, right? And I had watched an Eckhart Tolle talk the other day, and he does talk about like notice that you are enjoying your suffering. But this is where I maybe depart from Tolle a little bit and lean more into the existential kink, Dr. Carolyn Elliott, and the whole kind of feminine mystic and the darker side, more of the left-hand path, whatever, the tamas, where I lean more that direction is to just say, okay, I'm enjoying it, let me enjoy it. If I can just tap into the reality, if it is being really honest with myself, yeah, I'm enjoying this. I'm enjoying, and I could see, and suddenly it was clear to me, yes, I am enjoying this. I am enjoying the creation and experience of drama. I'm enjoying that internally. It so happens that I tend to be an internal creator of drama. I am more aware of it when it wants to have this outward, reaching effect. And I've never really allowed it to go there so much, although it was definitely present in my last relationship. It absolutely was. That was a huge factor. But anyway, to just see inside, I am enjoying the creation of drama. I am enjoying the experience of drama. I am enjoying this pain, this suffering, this resistance, anguish version of suffering. And something shifted the moment I saw that, it became unserious. As soon as I admitted to myself that I was enjoying creating the drama, I realized none of it was serious. And it wasn't even serious that I was creating internal drama, and because I'm enjoying it. Nothing is happening here. This is not a big deal. Nobody is being harmed. And so I'm free to enjoy this, and I could feel just the easing of tension. Immediately it started to melt. Things started to open up, because as long as this isn't serious, then I can immerse in it. Then I can give myself permission to immerse, to really deeply feel this, and admit that I'm having fun with it. To just admit to enjoying the drama. Isn't it fun? It's fun to play a dramatic role. It's fun to play the villain or the bereaved hero. You know, it's fun to play both Batman and the Joker. It's fun. Just see that it's not serious. It's not a big deal. You're allowed to do that. You're allowed to have fun with it. And so the seriousness was the key. In not changing the thoughts or the emotions, they're still here, but now my engagement with them feels lighter, feels easier. I feel more ease. I feel more relaxed in the experience of this. I'm not worried about the experience that I'm having internally because it's not serious. It's not a big deal. So from this place, drama can be opened to. Drama can be enjoyed internally, honestly, authentically enjoyed. And so what's the problem? I'm having fun. I'm enjoying this. And when we truthfully, authentically admit to that, we don't cast this. I've said this before, and this is said in Existential Kink, and it is true. We don't then just go around causing drama for people, hurting, throwing our hurt onto people, because we're all sort of hurting each other all the time, in so far as we are all touching all the time. We are in constant contact. We are all constantly affecting one another, but we're not harming one another. But when you are really honest about your enjoyment of drama, and you recognize for yourself that it's not serious internally and it's not harming you, you don't feel like, well, now I'm free to go stir shit up for other people. You don't have that impulse, because you're in joy. You are in love. You're no longer in resistance. And then if other people bring their drama to you and they're unaware, because we only fling it onto other people in unawareness, and our refusal to admit to the enjoyment of the experience also. So if someone comes to you and is flinging it upon you, you can take it in stride. You're not resisting it. You can play your own character for fun, tongue in cheek, right? Anyway, I gotta go inside, but yeah, so seriousness is the key. Seeing that nothing is serious, including drama, and you're free to enjoy it. You're free to play that role coyly, with mischievousness and for fun, and it's still genuine. There's still sincerity there. It's just not serious. And that, again, that deliberate injection of fun, that realization of fun and frivolity, the unseriousness, just softens everything. It softens you, it softens others. So, that's it. I love you. Take it easy.